Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're gonna make a crêpe cake. So let's put on our aprons, tie our hair back, and let's get started with the video. What you're going to need to get started is 230 grams of sugar, 90 grams of oil, 190 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 350 grams of milk. For the filling, you're going to need 620 grams of heavy cream, 47 grams powdered sugar, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, 4 grams of unflavored gelatin, and 2 grams of water to bloom your gelatin. You are also going to need 1 container of strawberries thinly sliced. So what I have right now is my sugar, my oil, my salt, and my vanilla in my one bowl. And just to keep it separate, I have my flour in another bowl. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna add your eggs to this, you're gonna whisk it up, and then you'll add your flour, and then we're going to add our milk slowly while whisking. After we have all of our ingredients in the bowl, we're going to crack our 3 eggs into the bowl. Here's a little baking tip. Crack your eggs on a flat surface instead of the side of your bowl. In doing so, you decrease the risk of puncturing your egg yolks, which really comes in handy if you have a different recipe that calls for you to separate your yolks from your whites. Now we're going to get our whisk and we're going to whisk these eggs up and we're going to get everything incorporated. You do not need to go as crazy of whisking as I showed in the video. I just wanted to get this crêpe cake done because I woke up really early, and this was about an hour and a half, 2 hours to make this crêpe cake just because of all the layers. So now we're going to add our flour. At this point, you're more than welcome to sift your flour in, but I'm going to have us strain the batter at the end before we start making the crepes. So if you want to sift first and then strain, or sift and strain, either option's good for you. So now I'm adding in the milk, and I have my scale underneath because I forgot to measure how much milk I needed for the recipe, because I usually just eyeball this recipe, but I know not everybody can eyeball a recipe and get it right. It's really hard to do, so that's why I made sure to add the measurements in for you guys, so hopefully you appreciate it. I think I just whisked really hard in this because there was still a lot of lumps, but you shouldn't really worry about it because we're going to strain the batter through a sieve and get all those lumps out, so don't worry about it. And now I'm going to add even more milk because it's not liquidy enough. I need this batter to be super duper liquid because it's going to be able to spread out really thin when you put it in the hot pan. That's why crêpe batter is really liquidy, and you can get that really thin, really good texture every single time. Another shot of me whisking because there's too many lumps. Now we're going to strain the batter to get the lumps out. We're turning on the pan lightly oiled, medium-low heat. Make sure it's medium-low. Next, we got a pan with parchment paper for the crepes. Now I'm hovering my hand over to check the heat. Our pan is nice and hot, so we're going to slowly pour in our batter, and we're going to move the pan in a clockwise motion, making sure that we spread the batter even and thin, making sure we get the whole bottom of the pan covered. Now we're just going to keep going and spinning in a clockwise motion until all of the batter has stopped running and flowing on the bottom of the pan. We want everything to be solidified and we want it to start cooking. So now we're just going to let it cook, and we're going to tuck in the sides a little bit with a rubber spatula so it's easier to flip, and we just keep tucking and tucking, la-di-da-di-da, and we just keep going. Now this process, I'm going to let you know, it's going to be long, it's going to be tiring, but the end result is worth it. So if you can stick it out for the hour and a half to 2 hours it takes to make this cake, it's really going to be an amazing treat for you at the end. So we just let it cook for a little bit before we get to the really scary part, which is we have to flip it by hand. Now I will let you know, it is hot, you're going to burn your fingers, so I'd recommend wearing gloves. But I didn't have gloves, so I'm just gonna put my big girl pants on and flip it, and now you gotta do this like 25 more times. Here's a clip of me just cleaning up the edges of all of my crepes because I just want them to be nice and perfect and round. So we have our gelatin, we're going to bloom it in some cold water, And then we're going to have our heavy cream and sugar and vanilla in the mixer. And we're going to start whipping until it gets a little frothy. And then we're going to put our gelatin in the microwave after it's done blooming. After it's a little liquidy and it's a little frothy, we're going to mix about 2 spoonfuls in with the gelatin that was heated up in the microwave just to temper it. Because we're going to pour this back into the whipped cream, and we're going to make a stabilized whipped cream so it's easier when you spread it out on your crepe cake, and it's going to hold up a lot nicer than just straight whipped cream. So now I'm just pouring that back into the bowl, and I have the whisk on high, and we're just going to whisk this until like medium stiff peaks. As you can see, just testing it out with my whisk, all that good stuff. So now we're gonna thinly slice some strawberries. I bring it up to the camera to show you the thickness. And this is just a time lapse of me cutting up all the strawberries. And you're gonna need a whole container just because it's gonna take that many strawberries. And now for the layering, it's gonna be crepe. Then I'm gonna do a layer, like a thin layer of whipped cream. And you can do every 2 to 3 crepes, you do a layer in with strawberries. But you don't need every crepe layer to have strawberries in it, but you do need every crepe layer to have whipped cream in it. But just do a really thin layer, like where there's like nothing at all, because we have like 25 layers, so you don't really need that much cream in between each layer. So you're just gonna do crepe, whipped cream, then crepe, whipped cream, and then strawberries, then another crepe on top, and then you're just gonna keep going until you repeat it a bunch of times, and then you have a cake. So it's pretty easy. Even though I kept saying, like in the beginning of the video, that it takes a lot of time, this is actually a lot of fun to make. And my family really, really loved it. It was just something fun and different to have around the holidays, because I made this cake actually for Christmas. So that's why I really wanted to try something new. Each Christmas I like to challenge myself. So last Christmas I actually made tiramisu from scratch, but I didn't buy the ladyfingers from the store. I actually made ladyfingers from scratch, because if you go to the store, ladyfingers are so expensive, and you can just make them at home, and it's a lot cheaper to make them at home instead of buying them at the store. So if you guys want me to do a video on tiramisu and how to make ladyfingers from scratch, let me know in the comments, because I would love to make another video for you guys if you enjoy my cooking videos and just like my little tutorials, just like something fun, just to challenge yourself. And it's really good, I feel like, to challenge yourself in the kitchen, because if you don't challenge yourself, then how are you ever going to get better? How are you ever going to learn about like new things or new techniques? I just think it's so much fun just to experiment like in the kitchen. Because when I was little, I used to make like little potions, but like it was just putting a bunch of spices in a container and then being like, Mom, I'm making potions, I'm experimenting. So I think that's where my love for just like food in general and baking just like really stood out, like as I was growing up, because I just loved being in the kitchen with my mom and all that kind of stuff. But you can see in the video now that I'm just adding like a layer of strawberries, and we're just gonna go crepe again. And you can definitely add more strawberries if you want, but I just wanted to do 1 container of strawberries, because I didn't want to spend money on strawberries, because they are not in season. So I'm not going to spend all this money on strawberries if I don't have to. But it really turned out like really nice, and I can't wait for you guys to see the end result, because I think you're going to love it. But let me tell you, this clip that I have is going on for a while, because I recorded me doing all the layers, because like I didn't want to short you guys, be like, oh my god, we only saw 1 layer and how are we supposed to know? No, like I made sure to put all of the footage in for all the layers. I did speed it up though, so it should go like a little faster. But yeah, and I'm just adding more strawberries. Delish. But really important note, you need to make sure you thin them slight enough. Like you want them about like the thickness of the crepe, Otherwise, it's just going to look weird when you start stacking it, and like your cake could become uneven, and then you'll have to add more whipped cream into the layers, and then it's just going to be a disaster. I would say if you make them a little thicker, put another layer of whipped cream on top of the strawberries just to even it out so you have a flat surface when you put your another crepe on, because it's still a cake. Even though they're super thin layers, we still want it to be relatively level, and we just want it to be flat on top. But it's not like where you're stacking it on top of each other if you're doing like a 3-tier cake or whatever and you need supports. No, it's nothing like that. That's kind of why I like to put gelatin in my whipped cream, so it stabilizes it. So because like when you hand whipped cream or you do fresh whipped cream, then it's a little loose sometimes depending on how much you whip it. But if you put a little gelatin in it, then it kind of is like a little bit of like a mousse in a way. Okay, everybody, so this is the finished product. This is a strawberry crepe cake. I'm sorry I did not film me frosting it and decorating it, but you can see that it's just the same thinly sliced strawberries on top, just in whatever pattern you want. And I just took the excess whipped cream and then just scraped on the side. It's okay if you see the layers, because we want a little rustic feel. We want a little home feel. We want to know that we made it in the kitchen. It doesn't have to be professional. And I think it's really cute. And I'm gonna have to cut into it so then we can see the cross section. And it's gonna look really pretty, I hope. Fingers crossed. So I actually forgot to record me cutting into the cross section. So here's me at 12 a.m. eating a piece of the crepe cake. But as you can see, the layers look gorgeous. And then here I say, first bite is for you. And yeah, let's take a little bite. And I'm just in pure heaven right now. Delicious. Thanks so much for coming to the kitchen, and I hope you enjoy. Bye! Okay. Wait, I'm not in frame. Move this.
Do you need that light on or not?
Okay, I should be quiet now.
Molly!
Are you done? My nose is working. Hold on.